All right, so we are going to get started. Good morning, everyone. My name is Monica Luciani Brennan. As you can see, it says Taylor Alfred, but unfortunately we had technical difficulties, but my name is really Monica Luciani Brennan. And welcome to the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services Ready Set Work Technical Assistance and Training webinar. Thank you all for joining us today. Before we get started, we will take a moment to go over some housekeeping items. The duration of the webinar is 120 minutes and it is being recorded. Your microphones are muted upon entry to the webinar, and there will be an opportunity at the end of the webinar to ask questions. Although there will be questions at the end, feel free to put questions in the chat at any time throughout the webinar. And additionally, we will be sharing follow-up resources and materials via email early next week, including the recording of the webinar. We are happy to have our Deputy Director, Matt Charton, here with us this morning. Good morning, Deputy Director Charton, and thank you for joining us. I will now turn it over to him to officially welcome you all this morning.
Thank you, Monica, and good morning. And good morning to everybody. We're so glad that you could join us today. A quick story. I told the group last week that I received my Workforce Development Specialist certificate in April of 2005. So I'm coming up on my 20-year anniversary of that. That was when each state sent a group out to the Bureau of Prisons and then NIC to do the training. A part of that training included a end of training project where my group of 6 developed a framework for a direct service training that we wanted to do, and that was called Ready Set Work. And so that's the program that we will be reviewing today. So it is I'm very happy to kick this off. I'm very happy that Ready Set Work has taken off like it has over the last 20 years or so. So I'm very happy that to welcome everybody to this group. The impact that you all make on people's lives is what I would say indescribable. It provides hope to people that have been put into a position where they might not see that hope, and allowing them to not only prepare for, acquire, and maintain employment is really kind of one of the foundations of people's self-respect. So really the work you do, and I know you guys do it every day, is so important to improving the lives of people and improving the lives of communities, and therefore, improving public safety. So with that, I want to thank everybody once again for joining us. Really appreciate the work you do. Really appreciate you dropping in for the next 2 hours and getting this refresher course by really 2 excellent WDS professionals, Marilyn Breeden, and I'm going to go for it, Monica Luciani Brennan. So I'll turn it back over to you guys, and thanks for letting me welcome the group.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate that. All right, so now we will jump into introductions. So as I stated before, my name is Monica Luciani Brennan, and I am a Community Correction Representative 1 here at DCJS within the Vocation, Education, Employment, and Reentry Unit. I am also a Workforce Development Specialist. I work with both the Employment Focused Services programs and the County Reentry Task Forces. I have been in this role for a little over a year and a half. Prior to my current role, I was a juvenile probation officer for Schenectady County for almost 4 years, where I did a multitude of things, including intake, supervision, predispositional investigations. I facilitated cognitive behavioral interventions, and I worked with the youth employment program. And at this time, I will turn it over to my co-host, Marilyn Breeden.
Thank you so much, Monica. Good morning, everyone. My name is Marilyn Breeden, and I am a Community Correction Representative 2 here at the Division of Criminal Justice Services, also within the Vocation, Education, Employment, and Reentry Unit. I'm currently assigned to the 18 DCJS grant-funded employment-focused services programs across New York State. Prior to coming to DCJS, I served with the Department of Corrections and Community Supervision for 9.5 years, working with the general population and specialized populations of incarcerated individuals with identified substance use treatment needs and those in the residential mental health units, which was joint operated with the Office of Mental Health. I'm also a licensed master social worker and a credentialed alcohol and substance abuse master counselor with over 15 years of experience delivering direct care services to justice impacted individuals while fostering meaningful participant engagement in both community and carceral settings. Last but certainly not least, I too am certified as a workforce development specialist, having received my certification in January of 2025. So, joining us today are our partners from the Workforce Development Board of Herkimer, Madison, and Oneida, and the New York State Department of Labor. We are excited to have them share their expertise and to co-present with us as well. So with that, I will now turn it over to Jeremy.
Thank you, Marilyn. My name is Jeremy Esch. I'm a workforce development specialist graduate from 2023. I've been working on the Oneida County Reentry Program for about 8 months, assisting individuals on parole with their stabilization needs, employment, training, and connections to service providers. Prior to that, I worked on the Alternatives to Incarceration grant out of the Oneida County Jail, helping individuals develop transition plans, providing interactive journaling, and teaching Ready, Set, Work. I will turn it over now to Cindy.
Sorry about that. Good morning. My name is Cindy Wren, and I work with the New York State Department of Labor, specifically in the Office of Career Development and Inclusion. And I am the supervisor of the reentry unit, where I work with 2 other individuals. I completed the WDS training in 2017, and both of the staff that work with me have completed it in the last couple of years as well. Our focus is really to assist those staff in our career centers across the state who are working with individuals in reentry. We assist them, we provide technical assistance, and we do training with them. But we also provide assistance to other stakeholders, including job seekers, community-based organizations, and other state agencies. We also are responsible for administering the federal bonding program in New York State, and we provide bonding to job seekers and businesses in that arena. I've been at DOL for close to 10 years, but prior to that, I really spent a lot of work in vocational rehabilitation and training and career counseling, both with individuals with disabilities as well as individuals who are justice involved. And I guess I'll turn it back over to Monica.
Thank you, Cindy, and thank you, Jeremy. We're very happy to have them both here with us today, as they're both experts in their respective fields, so they're really going to help enhance this webinar for all of you today. So now you all know who we are, so we're going to do a little brief icebreaker, and those who are certified WDSs on the webinar may remember this from the Workforce Development Specialist training. But we're going to ask all of you to put a positive attribute about yourself in the chat that starts with the first letter of your first name. So I'll go first and give you my example, Marvelous Monica. So we'll give that a minute just to see responses in the chat, and then we'll move on to our webinar. Determined Denise, Talkative Taylor. Okay, these are good ones. Fearless Franz. Oh, I like that one. Oh, these are great. Messy Michelle. Awesome. Chatty Carrie. Oh. Oh my gosh. Thank you guys. This is great. All right. So just a good way to kind of start us off. So now we're going to get into things a little bit more. So our learning objectives for today. We're going to identify the allowable Ready, Set, Work delivery methods. We're going to describe the planning steps needed to take in order to start and prepare for a group. Have a good understanding of the Ready, Set, Work curriculum. Identify how to submit a roster to DCJS and know of the WDS listserv and how to utilize it. And now I will turn it over to Marilyn.
Thanks, Monica. Workforce Development Specialists. We understand that we have certified workforce development specialists, administrators, as well as other professionals who may not be trained in the workforce development specialist training on this webinar today. However, the Ready Set Work curriculum is only authorized to be facilitated by certified workforce development specialists. Staff who are not WDS trained can assist with the training, but there must be at least one WDS present at every Ready Set Work session. All workforce development specialists are required to complete classroom training and field work hosted by DCJS, which prepares them to assist justice impacted individuals in finding and maintaining employment. For those on this call who are interested in finding out more information on the Workforce Development Specialist training, please feel free to reach out to Monica. Her email will be provided at the end of the PowerPoint. Ready, Set, Work. This is a 20-hour curriculum that builds on evidence-based curriculums and resources from the New York State Division of Criminal Justice Services, the New York State Department of Labor, and several local probation departments and community-based organizations with frontline experience working with this population. Before we move into discussing Ready, Set, Work more, DCJS is interested in hearing from those of you on this webinar who are a certified workforce development specialist. Therefore, we have a question we'd like to explore together. So, what current aspects and/or activities of the workforce development specialist training did you find most useful in facilitating Ready, Set, Work? We're going to drop this question into the chat box. Feel free to share your thoughts there. We'll take about a minute to review the responses as they come in. Okay, encouraging folks to seek jobs that fit them. The assessments. Okay. Mock interviews. Sure. With the training on specific issues. Oh, the Holland codes, a big hit. Okay. Motivational interviewing, one of my favorites. Facilitation skills. Oh, hey, Bree. Active listening. Wow, these are some really good responses. Thank you so much for your feedback. We are always looking to improve. So thank you so much for that. All right, next slide. Thank you. So programs that utilize Ready, Set, Work. So the goal of New York State's reentry strategy is to reduce recidivism and promote community safety. To that end, DCJS partners with the various community corrections agencies to reduce recidivism and increase employment opportunities and job retention. So the programs and agencies that utilize the Ready, Set, Work curriculum include the DCJS funded County Reentry Task Forces, the DCJS funded ATI and employment focused services programs, the county probation departments, and the New York State Department of Corrections and Community Supervision, also known as DOCS. DCJS funded programs may jointly plan and co-facilitate a Ready, Set, Work group with another program or agency as long as staff are certified workforce development specialists. Next slide, please. So what is the message? The overall message is that employment is a fundamental tool for self-sufficiency, personal growth, and social reintegration. It serves a critical pathway. It serves as a critical pathway to enabling justice impacted individuals to support both themselves and their families. Additionally, employment is a key pro-social activity, offering justice impacted individuals the opportunity to learn from positive role models. It helps to structure time effectively, fosters the development of essential interpersonal skills, and reinforces an individual's sense of self-worth and self-efficacy. Moreover, employment provides a means for individuals to fulfill financial obligations, including restitution, thereby contributing to the process of making victims whole. Furthermore, research has shown in multiple studies that higher education and gainful employment both increase a person's stability in the community and decrease the likelihood of recidivism. So I will now turn it over to Monica.
Thank you, Marilyn. So now we're going to talk about planning for implementation. So about 2 months ahead of time, the first step you want to do is determine the class schedule and the number of times you'll deliver the curriculum per week. And we'll get into this in a slide further down a little bit about that. Your training team. So will other individuals from within your organization or outside your organization be a part of your training team? Do you require any kind of technical support? Target group. There should be consideration given to the makeup of your groups. For example, do you offer diversified groups? Do you have the ability to run groups for youth as well as adults? If you have a younger group of individuals, you should consider the Career University Advancing to the Next Level curriculum. If the majority of individuals are over 18, you should consider the Ready, Set, Work curriculum. These are all considerations to be made when determining what target population you'll be working with. Group size, what size will the group be? For effective facilitation, it's recommended not to exceed 10 individuals in a group. If you do exceed 10 individuals, you should have at least 2 facilitators. Referrals, will all of your participants be referred from your department or will they be from an outside organization as well? So just things to take into consideration. Follow-up, who will be accountable for ensuring that participants sign attendance contracts and attend each session? Location, will it be occurring at maybe your office? Is it at another location? Do you have to book space at another location? Are there computers, projectors, anything you need at the training location? And ideally, the space should be accessible via public transportation for those who don't drive. Dates and times. Once you know where you can hold the group, consider the location and facilitator availability and tentatively plan the dates and times that you're going to schedule the group as well. Cost. Are there any projected costs for you or your agency to facilitate the group? Some possible expenses could include maybe booking a location, travel, paying for material, printing, snacks and drinks, marketing. So once you have an idea of who will be making referrals to the group, start thinking about how you want to get the word out to appropriate referral contacts. So maybe that's making like some kind of poster. I think I've seen a good one recently. I'll give a shout out because I think she's on here. Bree from Ulster County. She has excellent posters that she makes for IJ, Ready, Set, Work. So just a good idea to kind of have posters to kind of market this to other organizations and kind of who your referral sources for this as well. About 1 month ahead of time, you're going to want to review your curriculum. So take the time to review the whole curriculum in its entirety with the training team or whoever you're co-facilitating with. This will give you time to start planning what needs to be done ahead of time. If you need to make any adjustments, maybe allowing time for optional content, using online resources instead of print resources, confirming your location. You want to take into account any extra days and time you may need after doing your curriculum review. Inform your referral sources. So let the appropriate referral sources inside and or outside of your agency know when the group will be meeting and ask them to send the appropriate referrals. You should also set a deadline for referrals because obviously things come up last minute, but you shouldn't be receiving a referral the day before the group if you don't have to. Again, things come up last minute, but a deadline is really good so you can review because maybe this person might not be appropriate for Ready, Set, Work. So having a deadline is very important as well. And assigning responsibilities. If you're facilitating Ready, Set, Work as a part of a team, schedule a meeting to discuss who's going to be responsible for what tasks. If you're facilitating the curriculum on your own, you should start working on certain things as well. So maybe leadership, if you are working with a team on this, you should discuss who's going to be delivering what module, what section of that module, printing and publications. And if say you're somebody at your organization who's a certified WDS and you work with someone who is not, this person who is a non-certified person, they can help you with printing, maybe getting materials, because obviously they can't facilitate the group, but that kind of stuff can be tedious, and maybe they can help you with printing and getting materials and that kind of thing. And maybe if materials too, do you know any organizations near you, depending what you need, that would donate certain things to you as well, so you don't have to come out and pay for certain things. And then policies. Determine if there are any upfront expectations that need to be set before the group is given. So will you have an attendance policy that allows for lateness or any absences, and under what circumstances? Because obviously we know things come up, but it's important to kind of set that ground rule ahead of time with a certain policy. And how will you handle makeup sessions? Because a participant needs to go through all of the modules in the curriculum in order to successfully complete Ready Set Work. And then 1 week ahead of time. So outside presenters. Confirm the participation of any outside presenters and/or providers and send a reminder of the date and the time of their scheduled participation. I would also recommend to send it via email, so maybe if they have an Outlook, so it comes up as an actual Outlook invite on their calendar as well. In attendance, make an attendance sheet based on the referrals you have for your group. Setup. Plan on transporting all the materials and supplies to location. If you're doing it somewhere else, if you're doing it at your actual office, I would set it up ahead of time, so you're not, if your group starts at 4 o'clock, you're not setting up at 4 o'clock. You want to make sure you're prepared ahead of time, and you want to check things in the space as well to make sure everything's working and everything's great. Backup plan. I mean, today's a pretty good example of a backup plan here. I logged on 20 minutes early, and my computer, I got a message I never got before I was locked out. So thankfully we had a backup plan very quickly, and I am tailored for right now for the webinar. But backup plans. So, I mean, if you have somebody signed up to do module 5 to come present, they might not be able to show up. It might happen the day of. So you have to be prepared to do that module. So just kind of being prepared, because anything can happen at any time, right? And I will ask Jeremy for his feedback on this section too for implementation, because he is a very experienced facilitator for the Oneida County Reentry Task Force. So any feedback you have on implementation, Jeremy, would be very helpful.
Thanks. A couple of notes I wrote going back to about 2 months ahead of time. We mentioned making sure that you've discussed who's doing the training and what modules. I would recommend getting that in writing, sending it out in an email, just so that you don't run into any situations where, I thought you were doing module 4 early in the morning or something like that. So make sure you get that in writing and everyone understands what day and what modules they're presenting. If possible, which is not always the case, I would try to have a backup location if it's possible. I know that's not always something that everyone can do. You mentioned marketing. One of the notes I wrote is if it is offsite or you have people who haven't been to the office before, consider taking some photos and including that in the marketing so that they know where the entrance is or where the parking lot is. We did that the last Ready Set Work. It worked out pretty good. And then also 2 months ahead of time is not too early to start checking for any upcoming trainings or job fairs that might be happening in the area. I also wrote that down also for the 1 month ahead of time as well. So that's kind of a process. Anytime you're having a Ready Set Work, just make sure you're paying attention to any trainings or job fairs, employment opportunities that you can kind of incorporate into your Ready Set Work. The last one we had, Ready Set Work, we had finished. There was a Brownsfield training that is getting funded through the Environmental Protection Agency. So we were able to smoothly transition Ready Set Work finishing on a Friday and having 4 of the participants go right into that training on Monday. So that worked out really well. Let's see. Just some little things. Make sure the links in your PowerPoints work. If you haven't checked them in a while, YouTube videos can sometimes change or get removed. So just make sure you're checking those. Something that I've had before as well is making sure that a classroom or room that you're using for Ready Set Work is not getting used before or after the class, or if it is, you know what to expect. Maybe there's another meeting that's booked right afterwards or some cleanup that you need to do before you get in there. I think that's about it. Just double checking cords, laptops, HDMI connections, any of those things. Just always making sure you check on those. And of course, don't panic. Have your Ready Set Work curriculum, a booklet handy, and a printout of the PowerPoint slides. And you'll be able to do really well just with those two things. So I think that's it. I will turn it over to Maryland.
Marilyn, you're muted.
Ready, Set, Work fidelity. Let's talk about the fidelity of Ready, Set, Work curriculum. Next slide, please. Ready, Set, Work attendance and completion criteria. Please facilitate this Ready, Set, Work employment readiness intervention as a closed curriculum, meaning no new participants will be allowed to join the cohort once it has commenced. In terms of attendance, it is helpful to advise participants of your attendance expectations of them and/or to have them agree to an attendance policy for this intervention prior to the start of a given group cycle. As with any group, it's important to provide group rules with the participants. Again, this is another opportunity to discuss the importance of attendance and, if you so choose, the use of an attendance contract. Please note that completion of this curriculum is defined as the participant completing all 10 modules of Ready, Set, Work. It should also be noted that all makeup sessions from this group should be made up within a given group cycle. Legitimate reasons for makeup sessions will be considered at the discretion of the workforce development specialist facilitating this intervention. Ready, Set, Work delivery methods. This curriculum is divided into 10 modules for a total of 20 hours of training. That said, we do recommend not exceeding more than 2 hours per group session to support sustained engagement and focus. The following schedules for Ready, Set, Work facilitation are currently allowable. No more than 1 2-hour session per week for 10 weeks. No more than 2 2-hour sessions per week for 5 weeks, and no more than 3 2-hour sessions per week for a little over 3 weeks. However, any alternative delivery schedules you wish to propose should be submitted to OPCA for approval. Okay, so the Ready, Set curriculum. This curriculum is divided into 10 modules for a total of 20 hours of training. Module 1, Career Assessments. Module 2, Legal Issues and Financial Incentives. Module 3, Job Applications. Module 4, Interviews. Module 5, Budget Planning. Module 6, Employer Expectations. Module 7, Barriers and Resources. Module 8, Job Retention. Module 9, Job Search. And Module 10, Local Career Centers. So each module includes materials and equipment to support delivery of this curriculum, which varies from module to module. However, a before module checklist informs you, the facilitator, of the resources you will need. For example, websites, videos, supplemental documents, and copies of a career assessment. Performance objectives are clearly outlined at the beginning of each module. These performance objectives drive the modules. And some optional activities, for example, are YouTube videos, allowing participants to research presentation tips by looking up blogs on the internet, display of an error-free application, and to complete Career Zone dollars and cents budgeting tools. Closing remarks and questions for the group is an opportunity to check in with the participants, eliciting feedback necessary to gauge if they are learning and retaining the information being provided. So ask the participants, what am I learning? Why am I learning it? And how can I use it? This is actually done at the end of each module. So remember to use those SOLAR facilitation skills taught to you in the Workforce Development Specialist training. They're going to help you to continue to engage the participants especially in these later modules. Sitting squarely, open posture, lean slightly towards participant, appropriate eye contact, and just being somewhat relaxed. And so for those of you who are certified workforce development specialists, you will receive the most up-to-date version of the Ready Set Work Facilitator's Guide, and non-certified workforce development specialists will receive a modified version. Within the Ready Set Work Facilitator Guide, you will find information related to materials, performance objectives, optional activities, and closing remarks for each module. So with that, I will now turn it over to our Oneida County Reentry Task Force partner and WDS facilitator, Jeremy.
Thank you, Marilyn. For each of the 10 modules, you will see all of the performance objectives on the screen, but we will only be reviewing a few of them for each module. If you have any questions on any objectives, please feel free to put them in the chat. Before we get into the Module 1 objectives, I wanted to share a couple of Day 1 reminders and tips. Everyone will have their own style for presenting, so these are just some things that work for me, and you may find work for you as well. If participants are coming in before class starts, use that time to begin to build rapport with anyone you may not know. You will be doing introductions in a bit, but talking before class starts and the whole group is seated will make that go more smoothly. For the participants you do know, let them know you'd like their help getting things started. Take the beginning of the first class slowly. Don't rush through the introductions and early discussions, and look for opportunities to encourage participation early. For Module 1, has 8 objectives. Performance objective number 1, participants will introduce themselves and begin to develop a relationship with the rest of the class participants and the instructor. The instructor goes around the room and asks participants to introduce themselves and give their name and give the name of the longest job they've held. Participants may add additional information such as length of employment and why they left if they wish. No one is required to share this information. I like asking what is the best, worst job they've held. This question will also give you information that you can use in subsequent modules. For example, if they talk about past coworkers or a supervisor, that's something you can bring up in Module 6 too. For performance objective number 2, we understand the expectations and rules of the Ready Set Work group. The instructor hands out attendance contracts, which are optional, and outlines for the current program. Instructor reviews both documents with participants and clarifies any questions they may have. We also review house rules that are not included in the attendance contract, such as bathroom locations, respect for each other, confidentiality, emergency exits, etc. Performance objective number 3, exploring differing motivations behind work. There's definitely some good videos on YouTube that I use for this that I can include in the chat, as well as performance objective number 4, completing a first choice informal career assessment. I always find this is a really good time too to see if what they filled out in this first choice assessment is similar maybe to prior jobs that they've held. So if you've had discussions in the beginning of class about their best and worst jobs or jobs that they've held, you can kind of bring it back after these first choice assessments to see if those match up and have a good discussion about that. Performance objective number 5, successfully complete the informal assessment, Super's Career Life Rainbow. If you haven't reviewed the rainbow in a while, haven't run a Ready Set Work in some time, it would be a good idea to review it. It can be a little complicated to explain. So take your time and make sure you leave plenty of room for this exercise. The instructor hands out Super's Career Life Rainbow and reviews directions on how to correctly complete it. You may do some of the exercises with the participants, as this is more complex than other exercises. Participants complete the exercise, and then the instructor reviews the participants' answers and elicits some thoughts regarding them, including the development of their 5-year plan. Many participants have poor future orientation, so I found the 5-year plan can be challenging, but it also opens up some good discussions once they finally understand the importance of that 5-year plan. The instructor asks the question, why did we do this exercise? the participants give their thoughts, the instructor gives their thoughts, and then they let the participants take the exercise home with them. And finally, for performance objective number 8, we're going to identify 2 career choices to explore. Participants identify 2 career paths they would like to pursue based on the informal assessments they have completed. Then the instructor records the participant choices. Next slide. So for day 2, make sure to check in with the participants. Maybe start with a motivational interview. Other presenters from Ready, Set, Work that I've talked to use something called a pit and a peak, where you ask the participants something good that's happened to them since the last time you met or something that they found challenging. It's also a chance to catch up on any to-dos or activities the participants may have been working on since the last time you met. I actually recommend doing this for every class, especially if there's several days in between the classes. So for module 2, there's 5 performance objectives, and you could have someone from legal aid come in to assist with this module. This lesson, the primary focus will be on the crime of conviction, felony bars for certain licenses, and employment and financial incentives for employers. Performance objective number 1. By the end of this module, the participant will have a working knowledge of corrections law, Article 23A. I print out copies of this and use them as handouts, just so they have something to reference while we're discussing it. The instructor will assist the participants learning about the crime of conviction, New York State felony bars, and its impact on the world of work. The instructor will define employers' rights and job seekers' rights when a job seeker has a criminal conviction and legal issues regarding community supervision. As a reminder, Article 23A is a broadly constructed New York State law meant to promote employment opportunities for individuals with 1 or more criminal convictions. It seeks to provide a level playing field for individuals with criminal convictions who are looking for work, thereby reducing recidivism by increasing employment opportunities for individuals with criminal conviction records. According to the basic terms of Article 23A, an employer may not deny or terminate employment on the basis of prior criminal convictions, except under 2 narrowly defined circumstances. The first, where there's a direct relationship between some or all of the previous offenses and the specific job or position the individual is seeking or holds to seek. Or 2, when hiring or continuing to employ the individual, if doing that would present an unreasonable risk to the employer's property, specific individuals, or the general public. For performance objective number 3, by the end of this module, the participants will know which certificate is applicable to their crime, certificate of relief from disabilities or the certificate of good conduct, and how it may restore rights to certain licenses and or employment. Again, there's 2 very good videos that I use on YouTube, certificates. They're just labeled certificates of relief of good conduct, parts 1 and 2, but they're short and I think they explain it really well. The instructor will assist the participant to obtain, complete, and submit the appropriate form to their probation officer or parole officer to start the investigation process and subsequent issuance of the certificate. Skipping down to performance objective number 5. By the end of the module, the participant will have knowledge of state and federal tax credits in the federal bonding program. The instructor will help the participant describe to employers the benefits of at least 1 federal tax credit, the Work Opportunity Tax Credit, and the New York State Federal Bonding Program. Personally, I recommend double checking the process for someone to become involved in the federal bonding program in your area, how it works in your area. For instance, here in Utica, if someone hasn't been to the Career Center before, they first need to call and make an appointment with a labor services representative. Then after meeting with the labor services representative, they're referred to an employment counselor. That counselor calls the client and sets up an appointment for the federal bonding. It's just good to make sure someone is aware of a process like this so they have the proper expectations. There's also some very good videos on the federal bonding program too that you can include. So I'll turn it over to Monica.
Thank you, Jeremy. So now we're going to jump into Module 3, Applications. So Module 3 has 7 performance objectives, and the purpose of this module is to assist participants in developing their job applications. So Performance Objective 1 is to identify the various types of employment applications that are available to the public. So we're in 2025, times have kind of changed. Before, maybe years ago, it used to be a lot more common to do applications on paper. Now, the most common way for an application to be done is online on that exact job website. There might still be mom and pop stores here and there that still want a paper application, but overall, I think we can all agree the majority of applications are now done online. And I think it's important to remember there could be an individual you're working with who's maybe just coming out of incarceration for a very long time, and maybe they only ever did paper applications before. Maybe this is the first application this person's ever doing. So it's really important that you're showing them during Module 3 how to access these applications and the appropriate websites for them to go to where they are available. Performance objective number 3. The participant will identify and discuss illegal questions that cannot be asked on an employment application pursuant to Article 23A of the New York State Corrections Law. And I know Jeremy just talked about this as well in Module 2, but we have a worksheet that's provided to you upon completing the WDS training for Module 3. If anybody who is a certified WDS needs that, again, feel free to put it in the chat or email me after because I can provide you with those as well. But the worksheet provides examples of illegal questions that can't be asked. Some of those illegal questions include there can't be questions about race, religion, marital status, asking if they have children, their political preference. There's a lot more than that, but those are just a few of the examples that cannot be asked. Performance objective 5. Yes, I will definitely get that email to you, Denise. Performance objective number 5. Identify 10 common mistakes in filling out an employment application. So there are a lot of mistakes that can come up when filling out a job application, especially for an individual, again, maybe doing it for the first time, or that's been incarcerated for a significant amount of time, and maybe they also struggle with their reading and writing. So it's important that you're showing them mistakes in an application. Always triple check and have someone else review the application before they turn it in. Some of the common mistakes could include maybe spelling and grammar errors, not following the directions on the application, listing an inappropriate email address, or maybe they're listing a non-working phone number. And then performance objective number 7. After going through all the previous objectives in this module, it's important to have participants complete an error-free one on their own. This gives them the necessary practice before completing an application for an actual job, and for you to be there to correct it if there's anything needed or to give any advice on something they may need to work on. So maybe any spelling or grammar issues, or if it does happen to be a paper application, maybe they need to improve their handwriting so it's easily able to read it. And now we're going to go to Module 4, Interviews. So Module 4 has 9 performance objectives, and overall the purpose of this module is to assist participants in preparing for a job interview. So we're going to jump to performance objective number 3. So participants will have a basic understanding on how to prepare for an employment interview. So again, to reiterate, the participants you're working with, this may be their first time in this role looking for employment, or it's their first time in a very long time. So it's crucial that you go over everything, including the basics. So make sure they know how to research the company and the role, review the job description, practice for the interview by doing mock interviews first. Make sure that the participant knows how to properly dress for the interview. So they know that they can't wear sweatpants or how to properly dress for the interview. So maybe that's also too kind of going out of your way, depending on where you're located, and looking at different organizations near you where you can refer them to get that appropriate attire for an interview as well. And hygiene needs, making sure that they're addressing any hygiene needs that they might have and that they have those hygiene things needed as well. And again, any organizations near you as well that may be able to provide these to them too. Performance objective number 4. By the end of this module, the participants will be able to recite the 4 R's of interview preparation. And the 4 R's are research, rehearse, relax, and review. So it's important that you're explaining to our participant to research a company before a job interview and how knowing more about a company can help in your interview. You don't want them to do the research after and then learn all these certain things that could have helped them in their interview. You also want to discuss the importance of rehearsing for an interview by doing mock interviews and performing these with the participants as well. It's helpful to do a mock interview for them to learn If you're able to do more than one, maybe even with other people, so they can kind of get a good sense of how it might be interviewing with other people as well. And explain how it's important to be relaxed in an interview. You don't want them going in dripping sweat, but not too relaxed, right? You don't want them going in and putting their legs up on the table, but we want them to be relaxed to an appropriate extent. And reviewing. So after the interview, it's important to also remember what questions were asked and how you responded. So maybe in your thank you email, you could also include further information. So if a certain question was asked in the interview and they felt like they didn't answer it appropriately, they could, when they're reviewing, they could answer that and say anything that they felt was left out. Performance objective number 6. So the 4 components of a conviction speech include taking responsibility, being honest, being brief, and telling them something you've done positive since then. And I'm going to read you guys an example conviction speech that's actually on the New York State Department of Labor website, and we can provide to you if you're interested. There's a couple on there, but I thought this was a pretty good one. I made a decision I deeply regret over 5 years ago. I served 5 years of time, and it has changed the way I choose to live my life now. I'm a dedicated hard worker with a driven focus on succeeding. I have more than 15 years in a customer service oriented field, and I can bring a lot to this company. So I think that's a very good example of a conviction speech. They're taking responsibility, they're being honest, they're being brief, and they're saying something they've done positive since then. So if anybody wants examples too, we can definitely provide those as well. And then jumping into number 8, participate in at least one mock interview and receive feedback from the class. So you want to encourage all participants to engage in a mock interview. It may be helpful for the facilitator to do one with another facilitator, so the participants can kind of see an example first, and then have them be a part of it themselves. Feedback from the class can also be provided as, and those who are WDSs will remember this from Basic Skills, something they did well, oh wow, and something they could improve on. Because it's important to kind of have some kind of constructive feedback as well, so it's something that they know what to do better for next time and what to do when they're in an actual interview. Meaningful feedback is only going to help them and help the class learn as well. So we're going to go to Module 5, which is budget planning. So Module 5 has 7 performance objectives, and the purpose of this module is to educate participants in developing a budgeting and spending plan. So performance objective 1, by the end of this module, the participants will be able to calculate their monthly income. So monthly income could look like maybe it's what they're getting from a job, maybe they're getting any kind of supplemental income, that could be child support, any kind of maybe government benefits. So it's important that we're calculating everything in there needed to get their total monthly income in there to properly assist them. And something else that is a really good tool, if anybody is not aware, and Cindy might talk about it more later from the Department of Labor, is the dollar and census budgeting tool, which kind of goes by zip code and county and can really help people know like what they're spending on each thing. Just a very, very helpful tool. Performance objective 2, participants will be able to list their monthly expenses. So maybe what they pay for housing a month, transportation, food, any medical bills, entertainment. So they'll be able to list their monthly expenses, and having their monthly income will assist them with this to know what they're spending every month and what maybe they're saving, what they have afterwards. And again, the dollar and census budgeting tool, I can't stress enough, is a really, really helpful tool, honestly, for anybody. So this could really help your participants in doing this module as well. And by performance objective 3, by the end of the module, individuals will be able to differentiate between wants and needs. So maybe an example for this one that you could give, if you have an individual maybe who's working, they have food at home, but they always want to eat out 5 days a week. So that would be more of a want. So we could talk about like reducing spending. That's number 4 as well, reducing spending. Maybe instead of eating lunch out 5 days a week, they can eat out 2 days a week. Kind of a want that way as well. They don't need Dunkin' Donuts every morning if they have coffee at home too. And now I will turn it over to Jeremy for Module 6.
Thank you. So modules 5 and 6 both have requirements of 1 to 2 hours. So module 6 could be combined with module 5 if you want to give yourself some more time for module 4, which is 3 to 4 hours. For this module, I usually show an undercover boss episode. It's a good way to discuss the good and the bad of what they saw. The other reason I wanted to talk about this module in particular is I've just always had really good experiences with this module. just being a good opportunity to have good discussions. At this point in Ready, Set, Work, you know, you've talked about jobs, expectations, those kind of things. And you can kind of continue that, you're going to continue that conversation today and build on it. So you just like to just take this module at a little bit of a slower pace, let people talk as much as possible, and just really have as many good discussions as you can. I just feel like there's a lot of good material to cover in just conversations with the participants. So with module 6, there's 3 performance objectives. The purpose of this module is to assist participants in finding a link between employer expectations and their own career thoughts related to employment. So performance objective number 1, participants will identify at least 10 expectations that employers have of their employees. The instructor will facilitate a discussion with participants and an employer about what expectations the employer has of his employees. Also, number 2, the instructor will then ask the participants what they believe are the most important attributes of an employee. And 3, the instructor will then use a recent survey of employers and record survey results on the easel. Another part I like to just ask the participants is, if they were an employer, what would their expectations be for the people working for them too? So that's also a really good way to kind of open up that discussion. Performance objective number 3, participants will recognize situations that trigger problems at work. Super important topic to go over. So the instructor will review with participants their own triggers that create work-related stress, work-related issues. The instructor, employer, and participants will do 3 mock scenarios to evaluate how participants understand and handle an employer's expectations of his or her employees. And then the instructor will hear feedback from participants and employer about the mock scenarios. So again, I just find like this is one of the just more relaxed modules to go over, a lot of good discussions. I've always enjoyed this one too. So I'll turn it over to Marilyn.
Thank you, Jeremy. You truly are an expert. Thanks again for sharing your expertise with us. Module 7, Barriers and Resources. This module focuses on the role barriers play in limiting participants in both obtaining employment and employment retention. It will also help participants identify what resources are located in the community to address the barriers identified. So please define barriers in a general term and then explore the internal and external barriers. Define them and give examples of each specifically for the justice-involved youth population and adult population. So some of these examples are lack of self-efficacy, lack of impulse control, criminal history, lack of any work history, for whatever reason, be it incarceration, history, or otherwise. Also, we want to ask participants to give a definition of a barrier and record the answers. Refine a definition as needed, including language that a barrier is something that blocks or impedes or a possible obstacle. Considering your audience, you want to ensure that your language is appropriate based on age and/or education level. In this module, the facilitator will ask for participants to categorize the list of employment barriers into either internal or external, allowing for group discussion. This module also focuses on scenarios that identify barriers and how justice impacted individuals may work around them. An example of such a barrier may be someone's inability to drive. This poses a serious barrier requiring an individual to plan accordingly, such as learn a bus route and obtain bus passes, or find a job that is close enough where the individual can walk to work. To ensure participants have the support they need to achieve and maintain meaningful employment, the 5th objective within this module helps to identify and describe the available community resources that can address multiple barriers to employment. For example, transportation, childcare, housing, job training, and perhaps legal aid, all of which can significantly impact a person's ability to secure and maintain employment. Module 8, Job Retention. The purpose of this module focuses on job retention and decision-making styles, as well as factors and strategies that impact job loss and job retention. Specifically in Module 8, we are experiencing and exploring the 8 decision-making styles: planful, painful, intuitive, impulsive, compliant, delaying, fatalistic, and paralytic. Job loss indicators are also discussed in this module, such as coming to work late or under the influence and voicing dissatisfaction with your work environment. Performance Objective 4 discusses circles of support, which references various types of relationships that people develop and how they receive support from others. These relationships can be positive and or negative. In the last performance objective for this module, we discussed strategies which provide an opportunity for the participants to provide valuable feedback by relating their responses to job loss. We then discussed using these strategies to explore ways to work towards positive employment outcomes. Next slide, please. Thank you. Module 9, Job Search. In this module, we focus on employment opportunities based on informal assessment, online advertisement, networking, acceptable employment documentation, and local trends in the labor market information. In this module, different job search methods are discussed and analyzed with the participants. Networking strategies are also explored in this module. Research tells us that networking is the best way to find a job, believe it or not. We also discuss forms of identification required to get a job and how not having the proper identification is a barrier to employment. In this module, we provide a list of acceptable documents and explain the legal requirements for potential employers to participants. We also learn about the labor market trends and demand occupations in this module. For example, in the Albany area, healthcare and technology remain high demand sectors, with occupations like software developers, nurse practitioners, and medical/health service managers showing strong growth projections. Module 9 introduces JobZone, which is a free virtual career exploration and planning system for New Yorkers. With a secure account, you can direct your own career journey based on your interests, values, and goals. So with that, I will now turn it over to our DOL expert, who we are also pleased to have joining us today. And with that, I turn it over to Cindy.
Okay, thank you so much, Marilyn. I will be covering the first two modules of the first two, I should say, objectives of Module 10. The first is regarding services that individuals can obtain from their local career center. And the second one, I will be addressing the JobZone platform, which includes a lot of different tools. And I'll talk a little bit about what those are and what people can do when they use JobZone. So to start off, just with a kind of broad stroke overview, there are 95 career centers across New York State, and you will receive a list of all of them at the end of today's program. Within our career centers, we have what are called reentry employment specialists, and we also have local bonding coordinators. The reentry specialists are specifically trained to work with individuals that have some type of justice involvement. And these are folks that understand what a rap sheet is and how to get one. They understand what a certificate of rehabilitation is. They understand the difference between a conviction and adjudication. And I could go on, but they really are specially trained to work with this population. Our local bonding coordinators are the individuals that assist us with implementing the federal bonding program working with both employers and job seekers to get individuals bonded once they have found employment. Every career center is a little bit different, and I say this because some may require someone to attend an orientation before they work one-on-one with someone, and some may do it a little bit differently where they do the orientation individually. I recommend that if you're working with somebody that you would like to refer to a career center, that you give that career center a phone call. The other thing I'll mention that within New York City, we have more reentry specialists per center than we generally do in other parts of the state. So let me talk a little bit about the variety of services that people can get from a career center. The first really falls under the category of career counseling, and you'll receive a fact sheet on this. And every fact sheet I mentioned, feel free to use in your training and share with the participants in your group. This will give them kind of a clear idea what they can expect from a career center. When we talk about career counseling, we can talk about anything that includes assessment, career exploration, helping people address their barriers for justice involvement. And like I said, helping people understand their rights, how to obtain a rap sheet, what the federal bonding program can do, what are the benefits of it, how to obtain a certificate of rehabilitation, what the New York State record sealing law is, and whether somebody may or may not be eligible for that, tax credits that businesses can take advantage of when hiring, disclosing legal history in an interview, which we previously mentioned, and also referrals to support services should somebody need one. They can also do kind of an advanced resume review with somebody and maybe help them edit a resume. Sometimes people just are finding they're not getting their foot in the door with the resume that they have, and they want to have someone take a look at it or help them customize it, maybe for a particular job. Interview coaching as well. We have a tool that we can use called Interview Stream within the career centers, where a counselor can help set up interview questions for the individual to record themselves in an interview, and then be able to sit down with the counselor and review their answers and get some coaching on what might have been a more effective answer. Last two items are job search strategies and networking techniques. If somebody's been out there looking for a while and they're kind of running out of options, they're not sure what to do, a career counselor can help them with that. And then also, if really they're kind of hitting a wall and it would seem that some type of training or education or even apprenticeship might be a better option for somebody, the career counselor and staff in the career center can help connect them to that. All of our career centers do workshops on a variety of topics. Some of them are live at the career center and some of them are virtual, meaning they're webinars online. And the topics, I'll just give you some examples, but this is just a fraction of them. Interviewing skills, networking, preparing a resume, salary negotiation, job search strategy, communication skills, disclosing legal history or disclosing a disability, veteran services and resources, identifying transferable skills, and there are a lot more topics that can be offered. We have a page on our website, on the NYSTOL website, that identifies where all these workshops are being held or when they're being delivered virtually, and links to register for them. We also have within our career centers opportunities for people to interview for jobs on site. We have a lot of employers that do recruitment through our career center locations, and they will come into the career center and interview individuals whose resumes they feel are a good fit for what they're looking for. Our career centers can refer anybody to an adult basic education class if they're looking to get a GED, as well as an English as a second language class. They can assist generally with training referrals and looking at what funding might be available for those training programs. They will assist anyone with a disability with accommodations and also adaptive equipment. For example, we have equipment that will help individuals with visual impairments to better use computers within the Career Center. We also have something called a virtual Career Center, which allows people to get a lot of services online specifically, and you will receive a fact sheet that describes what the virtual Career Center is and how it works. People that are registered for services in the Career Center are allowed to access something called Coursera, which has been around for quite a while, and some of you may have heard of it, but this will allow people to have access to over 4,000 programs that are offered through colleges and major universities across the country. Many of these programs will allow people to get certification toward an occupation, or to actually get a certification and move forward in an occupation, sometimes in one that they already have experience in. The other program that people have access to is something called North Star Digital Literacy. This is a program that will literally take somebody from not knowing how to turn on a computer or to even understand the parts of the computer to becoming proficient at using software. The other thing, so there's basic computer skill modules, there are learning, software modules, and last there are using technology in daily life modules, which would include things like email, social media, etc. There is no cost for either one of these programs, Coursera or North Star, and they are online, and people can go through these programs at their own pace. So that's something else that's important. We have resource rooms in just about every career center. I think maybe some of our smaller career centers may not have as large a resource room, but in these spaces, people have access to computers, to copiers, to printers, to fax machines, so that they can conduct job search activities within the Career Center. And then, as we previously mentioned, we assist individuals with getting bonded through the federal bonding program. The most important thing to remember is somebody either needs to already be working, or they need to have a job offer and a start date in order for us to bond them. So let me switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about the Job Zone career development platform. We actually have two platforms at the Department of Labor. We have a platform called Career Zone, and we have a platform called Job Zone. The difference between the two is that Career Zone is really focused more on career exploration, and it's typically focused more on a high school and young adult population. That doesn't mean that there may not be individuals that you serve who might be better off in the Career Zone platform than Job Zone. There are more assessment tools on it, and but there are a lot of features that are actually exactly the same on Job Zone and Career Zone. Job Zone is focused specifically on adults, and adults that may have some type of work history behind them or some type of training behind them. Again, it's a no-cost platform. People can use it either at home or they can use it at a career center. The career assessments that they can log into include things like interest areas, work values, transferable skills that somebody can have, or helping them identify them. And then the platform can take all this information and gather it together and then help match people to occupations that would be a good fit for them. Sometimes these will be occupations that people are already familiar with, but the beauty of it is sometimes it'll pull up areas that people may have never even considered in terms of employment and being a fit for them. So in that sense, it can be really, really useful. We also have career exploration options. There is a ton of information on occupations and career pathways, and the platform Job Zone has access to over 800 occupational profiles, which provides a ton of information on how to break into an occupation, what type of experience or training is necessary, or does someone break in by getting on the job training? And it will talk about even more than that. It'll even talk about future outlook of different occupational areas as well. You can get into resume and cover letter preparation. People can create an actual new resume on the platform, or they can upload a resume they already have and then edit it once it's in the system. You can also create cover letters. You can create thank you letters, and you can also create reference sheets within JobZone. The JobZone also has several different databases that include vocational training programs all over the country, college and degree programs all over the country, and also New York State apprenticeships. This will only be opportunities within New York State that people can search as well and look at. We've already talked about the budgeting tool called Dollars and Cents. That tool will be in both CareerZone and in JobZone. It allows people to create a budget based on their zip code, and that's because prices, things like utilities, housing, are all geared toward a particular region of the state, which gives somebody a more accurate idea of their living expenses. But they also have the opportunity to plug in a living expense amount if they know exactly what it is to create a budget. People can create a budget, a standalone budget based on their expenses, or they can create a budget from a salary that is found on one of the occupational profiles. So you'd be working backwards, starting with that annual salary and looking at what your expenses could be. Now, I say this and I smile when I say it, but when a lot of people learn about this budgeting tool, they say, oh my gosh, my children need to use this right away so they have a realistic idea of what living expenses are. But when you do this by occupation, the great thing about it is people can clearly see, no, living that lifestyle is not going to be able to be supported by that particular occupation. So it's kind of a reality check as well for people that are considering different occupations. There's also something on our website called the Self-Sufficiency Calculator. And basically what that helps people to do is to determine what are their bare bones expenses that have to be met in order to live in a particular region. We have job search tools. People can search for available jobs within New York State, and those are based on the New York State Job Bank. They are able to conduct either a keyword search for an occupation for a job, or they can do a resume-based search where they will have uploaded their own resume into the system, and then they can do a job search based on the information and keywords found in their resume. The other thing they can do is they can set up something called a Job Scout. And after doing a previous search on a particular type of occupation, the system will look for those jobs as they come up. And then once there's a match, they will email those job postings directly to the job seeker. And they can determine how long they want that to run, how often they want to be notified of jobs. And it's just another kind of tool in terms of job search to use. There's also something called an online work search record, not required to be used, but it allows people to document all the details for their job search, like who are they contacting, what's the phone number, what's the name of the person they've been in contact with, when did they apply for the job or send their resume in, those kinds of details. Important to note that people can either use this platform as a guest, or they can use the platform as somebody who's created a profile. The benefits of creating a profile are that you're able to save a lot of information based on the work that you've done in the system. You're able to save things like resumes you've created or uploaded. You can save cover letters. You can save job search results. You can save assessment results, training search information, any budget you created. So it allows you to, create a password and get in again to look at the information that you've already utilized. The last thing I'll mention about this particular system is that we have live chat operators that people can actually link into Monday through Friday between 9 and 5 to get questions answered. If they're having difficulty understanding a particular module or a particular feature of JobZone, or they just have questions about it. There's also an email address and a telephone number that they can tap into as well, should they have questions. I'm going to just say that if you have any questions about services or about JobZone, I'm going to give you the reentry mailbox at the Department of Labor for our unit, and that mailbox is checked on a daily basis, and it's reentry@labor.ny.gov, and I will put that address in the chat right now. So I'll turn it over now to Jeremy, who will talk about the rest of the performance objectives for this module.
Yeah, thank you. I'll go over those performance objectives just a second, but one thing, the reason I really wanted to talk about this part of it is this is graduation for our participants. So they've worked through several weeks of classes, they've participated. Many of them have made arrangements for transportation and ways to get to class, and maybe even done some things when it comes to that they have never done before. So just that by itself is a huge achievement. So I encourage everyone, if you aren't currently, to just make sure you're making that this end of Ready Set Work special. We always have certificates printed out, certificate holders, have any of the folks who have facilitated Ready Set Work sign them. We'll have some food for everyone, and then we usually will invite someone from leadership to congratulate everybody. So just encouraging everyone to make this day really feel something like a big achievement for the folks who've completed Ready Set Work. I would also encourage everyone to take advantage of the momentum that our participants have after completing Ready Set Work. So, they've just completed this training. Don't let them, if you can, let them leave without, a couple of things that you've already decided on that they're going to work on next, so that you can kind of build off the momentum that they have after completing this class. So let me just read you off the performance objective. So performance objective number 3, participants and the instructor will review the modules 1 through 9. Instructor will give a brief overview of the modules, and participants do have an opportunity to ask any questions they have or review topics maybe they have questions about. And then performance objective 4, participants will be given evaluations for the Ready Set Work program to be completed. The instructor will hand out the evaluations along with some instructions. Participants will complete the evaluations, and then those evaluations will be collected. So, but yeah, just make sure that you're encouraging everyone and congratulating them for completing Ready Set Work. And I will turn it over to Monica.
Thank you, Jeremy. So now we're going to get into some Ready Set Work facilitator feedback. So what you see on your screen here is feedback we've compiled over the past couple years from Ready Set Work facilitators from across the state. So this question was asking if they could share 1 or 2 things that makes a good Ready Set Work facilitator. So being empathetic, unbiased, good communication, being present, the ability to read the room and facilitate conversation, knowing the material, being flexible, and being a good listener. And with Jeremy being with us, being our expert facilitator, I'll ask him if he has any feedback he wants to provide to you all on this one as well.
That's some good feedback. I think the one thing that I wanted to add to this slide was I've found in my experience that participants want someone who is knowledgeable and is taking the material seriously, but does not necessarily present in a constantly serious manner. So it's just that finding that balance of treating the material seriously, treating the class seriously, but also, knowing how to lighten the mood, show some motivational videos, keep the flow of the class going. We talked about reading the room. So it's just that finding that balance, which can be done a lot of different ways. But I have found that they do expect and appreciate people who do take that material seriously, because they're devoting time out of their day to come to class, and they just appreciate people helping them. So
Thank you for that, Jeremy. I think that's awesome feedback. And then we have one more question that we asked. What is the most important advice that you would give to a Ready Set Work facilitator who is just starting their first group? So as you can see, we've gotten a lot of different responses on here. And I know we have, we just finished a WDS class in January of this year. So I know we have a lot of new WDSs on the call who are looking to start their first group soon. So I guess with this one, Jeremy, if you have any other feedback you'd like to give, I know we have some great feedback already, but I know there's maybe something else if you want to add in.
yeah, just don't rush. I think maybe the first couple of Ready Set Works that I taught, you're just kind of focused so much on the material that maybe you kind of rush through some things. So there's plenty of time during the classes to cover the material that you need to cover generally. So just pace yourself. It's fine. If people are talking, that's a good thing. I don't ever try to really stop that. That's really what you really want to see from the folks who are participating. So you'll be able to, steer things back to the material. Just let them, let the participants speak about their experiences, and yeah, just let the flow of the class. You kind of have to kind of feel the flow of the class and keep it going.
For sure. Thank you, Jeremy. I'm just going to add for you guys, and I know a lot of people on here, some might be from our probation department, county energy task force, so some are limited in what they can do and incentives and things like that. But I also received a lot of responses about what Ready Set Work facilitators do across the state regarding incentives. So some do bus passes, they have letters for employers, job placement or interviews, they have a graduation dinner. They're set up with a job coach after they graduate from Ready Set Work. They're provided clothing for employment. They're provided snacks and a safe space. So I just want to give you those examples too, because again, obviously depending where you are, you might be limited in incentives, but just something good to have with an incentive. And like Jeremy said too, even just giving them a certificate, this might be the first certificate these individuals have ever gotten. So that's really important to have as well. So now we're going to move on to group rosters in our WDS listserv. So Ready Set Work rosters for DCJS, probation departments in New York State docs, parole are certified workforce development specialists are expected to submit group roster information to DCJS. So previously, our county energy task forces and EFS programs are required to submit these, but they no longer are required to as of last year, as they submit this information into our data reporting system. So for example, if a probation department completes a group as of today, March 20th, that group roster is expected to DCJS by April 20th. All rosters can also be emailed to DCJS RSW data at dcjs.ny.gov. Don't feel like you have to run and write that down right now. You will be provided with the slides after this. That is my email on the bottom of the screen as well. So if you have any questions ever about rosters, definitely feel free to reach out to me because I handle our rosters here. But we really collect the rosters from probation and docs because we want to show DCJS is putting a lot of time, energy to perform the workforce development specialist training. So we want to make sure that the return on our investment is shown, as we expect professionals to be providing this training once they become a workforce development specialist. And if we're receiving the rosters from them, we can also make sure that they're providing the groups to fidelity. This is just an example of a roster, what it looks like. So you have to fill out certain information in the roster. So like the name of your probation department or what docs region you're from, the dates of the group. Yes, that is correct, Denise. So rosters are only completed by probation departments and docs. Any CRTFs or EFS they'll put their information into our data reporting system. Good question. So you'll put your start and end date of the group, names of the WDS who convened it, the year they completed training, group participants, date of birth, whether they're on probation or parole. For satisfactorily completed the group, you're going to put yes or no, because obviously you might have maybe 10 people start a group. You might not always have 10 people finish, but you want to put those 10 individuals on there. And if they just did not satisfactorily complete, you're going to put no. And this kind of just goes into everything I just talked about a little bit further with our required data entry field guidance document. So just kind of going into a little bit further about each required field. So again, for this, and all certified WDSs on the call will receive this again as well. If you have any questions, anything about rosters, what goes in it, anything like that, definitely feel free to email me. And now we are going to get into our WDS listserv. So those who are certified WDSs on here may receive emails sometimes from our listserv because we'll send out certain announcements or training things sometimes on here. The listserv email you can see on your screen, it's dcjs.ls.wds@dcjs.ny.gov. So you can email the listserv just as you send a normal email. And just to kind of back up a little bit, we also have over 600 certified workforce development specialists in New York State. So there's a lot of people on this listserv. So it can be something that's really useful. Say you have a question, maybe you're just starting to do your Ready Set Work for the first time. You have a question how somebody does module 2. you can send an email to the listserv and all WDSs across the state will receive it. They can reply to just you, or they can reply all to everybody to kind of help you with this. Definitely something we want to see being used more, because I think it can be really helpful for everybody involved, maybe to kind of just get advice, something like that. You could even send an email to say something that went great for you in a group. Just something that can be really beneficial to everybody. We have had issues before with individuals receiving this email, like not going through with their IT department. So you might just want to confirm with your IT department that the listserv is an authorized email at your department or agency. Then you want to notify DCJS of any email changes. So maybe you're planning on retiring soon, you're changing to a new job, something, or you have a name change. Just make sure you're notifying us of that, and you'll see the next slide in a minute. I have a QR code on the screen. Oh, thank you, Marilyn. Marilyn's on it. So if you guys would,
You're welcome, Monica.
thank you. So if you guys have your phones, doing a QR code, if you open your camera app on your phone, you should be able to just scan this QR code. And if you want to put a personal email address in there, I can add that to our listserv. So say you're planning on retiring in 3 years from now, you're still always going to be a certified workforce development specialist. So we'll still make sure that you get those, any training announcements or anything that we send out on that listserv. So I'll leave this here for a minute, or if you want to use the link Marilyn sent in the chat, either or will work. And those who aren't WDSs yet, once you are, this is something that you will be added to as well. So I'll give this another minute. And if you have any trouble getting on here at all, feel free to email me or put it in the chat after, and I can add it that way as well. All right. So you guys are going to receive a good amount of attachments following the webinar as well. You'll receive our facilitator's guide for certified workforce development specialists. Those who are not certified will receive a modified version. Everybody will receive our PDF version of the PowerPoint slides today. Certified WDSs will receive the roster, the data entry field guidance document. Everybody will receive the recording of the webinar, and then we have 5 DOL PDFs that everybody will receive today as well that I think could be really helpful. So definitely make sure to use those. If you have any DOL questions too, Cindy is really a great resource. Use her email, the reentry email. Definitely feel free to reach out to her. Does anybody have any questions? And if you want to put it in the chat or come off mute. Individual modules. Good question. So that actually might be a good question for facilitators too, because I know certain, and Jeremy, if you want to answer that, I know certain facilitators across the state make their own PowerPoints for each module, but I'll let Jeremy answer that.
Yeah, I mean, I got mine from someone who was a WDS before me and have just adapted it to my area and the things that I want to cover in addition to the material. So, I mean, I think having kind of a framework for a PowerPoint that people could add to would probably be a good idea, that maybe in the future. I don't think there's like an approved official PowerPoint for each of the modules.
Yeah, no, we don't have anything certain for each of the modules, but I know like certain, like you said, like CRTFs or EFS, they kind of have their own certain things that they make for the individual modules. And maybe that's a question too, if you want to pose it on the listserv, somebody might actually get back to you and kind of show you how they went through as well and kind of made their individual PowerPoint for each module. And I see Byron had a question as well. So Byron, since you are part of the CRTF, you don't have to submit any rosters because yours is in the CCDS. So don't worry about that. Thank you for that question, though. Does anybody want to come off mute and ask any questions? Or if anybody has any other questions, definitely feel free to put it in the chat. I'll give you guys a minute. I see someone has their hand raised. Let me see. Can't see a first name. V. DeLeon. If you have a question, if you want to put it in the chat, I'll unmute you too. Let's see. Can you hear me? I can't see your first name, so all it says is V. De Leon. If you have a question, that you're unmuted, so you can feel free to ask.
So I made it because I need these colors. So, but now, always are talking about fashion, so we made you scarf too as well. Bring it.
Okay. So that was a mistake. Okay, no worries. All right. So if any questions, definitely feel free to put them in the chat. We'll still be on here for a minute if you want to email us. This is all of our contact information as well. So I thank you all for joining us today. I thank Jeremy and Cindy for being a part of this with us as well, because I think that kind of really helps send the message for this curriculum as well. And I thank you all for the work that you do. I know we have a lot of people on here already who are working with justice involved individuals in the employment capacity and helping them obtain employment. And I know some people on here are working on doing that now. So I appreciate the work you're doing, as it's not an easy job. So thank you so much for being here today and taking your time to be on this.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, Jeremy and Cynthia, for your partnership. And to everyone on this webinar, we appreciate the valuable work you do, and we want to continue to support you in those efforts. So thanks again for attending this webinar.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. I mean, we have the listserv. If anyone has any questions, they can always email me too at that email.
And feel free to contact me directly if you have any questions regarding the Department of Labor Services.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So we are all set for today. If you want to hang out and ask us any questions, definitely feel free. You can also feel free to email us. I'll leave this on the screen too for a second if anybody wants to see those, but you'll also receive this following the webinar. But thank you so much, and I hope everybody has a great rest of their day.
Nice job, Monica and Maryland and group. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. It looks like we have one more question. Let me unmute Philip. Let me see. Hi,
Right.
Philip. Can you hear me?
How you doing? My name is Philip White, right? I see that you said that we got to reach out to Monica. That's you, right, Monica?
Yes. Don't listen to the name on here. It's just
Right.
it's a
tell-
lie today. Yes. Yes, but my name is Monica.
So, Monica, if we interested in the workforce development training, what exactly do we do at this point?
So you can definitely feel free to email me and we can kind of chat more about that, and I can put your name down. Because what organization do you work for? I'm sorry.
Osborne.
Osborne. Okay. So right now we don't have a date for our next one as of yet.
Uh-huh.
But I can make sure. Let me stop this.